welcome to my channel. Today we're gonna be doing something I've never done before. I'm gonna be doing a bit of story reading. Sometimes it'll be whispers, real up close whispers, and sometimes I'll move into a bit of more of a soft spoken moment just for you guys. So let's find the book we're reading. This is a book I've been very excited about reading for a while now. It has very good reviews. And it's called Open, O-P-E-N, Water, W-A-T-E-R, Open Water, and it's by Caleb Azuma Nelson. It's a lyrical modern love story, and it's not very long. I think it's about 200 pages. 150 pages, just about. But I won't be reading you that much. I don't think that's allowed. I'll just be reading you a couple chapters. Maybe you'll get inspired to go buy this on your own. I haven't started yet. I read the prologue. That's all. And the writing was very beautiful. Now, just a disclaimer. There's probably going to be some heavy breathing in this one because I'll be talking a lot, and it's quite hard to hold in your breath at all times when speaking into a microphone like this. So, if you have like a pet peeve for breathing, I would suggest you skip this one. Okay. Let's find the first real page in this book. There's a playlist you can find on Spotify. That's for the book. Open Water, as you can see here. It's dedicated 4S. There's a little quote here. There was an inevitability about the route towards one another, which encouraged meandering. And that is Sadie Smith who said that. That was awfully read. Now here it is, the first page. The prologue. Now remember, my first language is not English, but this book is in English, so we'll try, but don't expect it to be perfect. Hopefully it gives a bit of a charm. Okay, let's begin. The barber shop was strangely quiet, only the dull buzz of clippers sharing soft scalps. That was before the barber caught you watching her reflection in the mirror as he cut her hair, and you saw something in her eyes too. Sorry. He paused and turned toward you, his dreads like thick, beautiful roots dancing with excitement as he spoke. You two aren't something. I don't know what it is, but you guys aren't something. Some people call it a relationship, some call it friendship, some call it love, but you two aren't something. You gazed at each other, then with the same open-eyed wonder that keeps startling you at various intervals since you met. two of you, like headphone wires tangling, caught up in this something. A happy accident, a messy miracle. You lost her gaze for a moment, and your breath quickened as when a dropped call across a distance gains unexpected gravity. You would soon learn that love made you worry, but also made you beautiful. Love made you black, as in you were most colored when in her presence. It was not a cause for concern. One must rejoice. You could be yourselves. Later, walking in the dark, you were overcome. You told her not to look at you because when your gaze meet, you cannot help but be honest. Remember Baldwin's words? I just want to be an honest man and a good writer. Honest man. You're being honest. Here, now. You came here to speak of what it means to love your best friend. Ask. If flexing is being able to say the most in the fewest number of words, is there direct flex? Is there greater flex than love? Nowhere to hide, nowhere to go. A direct gaze. The gaze requires no words at all. It is an honest meeting. You came here to speak of shame and its relation to desire. There should be no shame in openly saying, I want this. There should be no shame in not knowing what one wants. You came here to ask her if she remembers how urgent that kiss was, twisted in her covers in the darkness. No words at all. An honest meeting. You saw something, you saw nothing but her familiar shape. You listened to her gentle, measured breaths and understood what you wanted. It is a strange thing to desire your best friend, the two pairs of hands wandering past boundaries, asking forgiveness rather than friendship. It is a strange thing to desire your best friend, two pairs of hands wandering past boundaries, asking forgiveness rather than permission. Is this okay? Coming a fraction after the motion. Sometimes you cry in the dark. Number one. The first night you met, a night you both negate as too brief an encounter. You pull your friend Samuel to the side. There's a bunch of you in the basement of the Southeast London pub. A birthday celebration. Most on their way to drunk or jolly, depending on which they prefer. What's up? I don't normally do this. Usually means this is something you've done before. No, promise, pinky promise, you say. But I need you to introduce me to your friend. You like to say that in this moment, the older gentleman spinning records had faded something fast, something like Curtis Mayfield's Move On Up, into something equally so. You'd like to say it was the Isley Brothers, Fight the Power, playing when you expressed a desire you did not wholly understand, but knew you must act upon. I'd like to say, behind you, the dance floor heaved and the young moved like it was the 80s, where to move in this way was but one of the few freedoms afforded to those who came before. And since you're remembering this, the liberty is yours. But you did promise to be honest. The reality was, you are so taken aback by the presence of this woman that you first reached to shake her hand before opening up for the usual wide embrace. The result, an awkward flapping of your arms. Hi, you say. Hello. She smiled a little. You don't know what to say. You want to fill the gap, but nothing comes. You stand, watching each other. In a silence that does not feel uncomfortable, you imagine the look on her face is mirroring yours, one of curiosity. You're both artists, Samuel says, And a helpful interruption. She's a very talented dancer. The woman shakes her head. And you? She says, what do you do? He's a photographer. A photographer, the woman repeats. I take pictures, sometimes. It sounds like you're a photographer. Sometimes. Coy. Shy, you think. You leap across the conversation and watch as she darts after you. A red light leans across her face, and you catch a glimpse of something like kindness in her open features. Her eyes watching your hands talk. It's a familiar tongue, you note. Definitely south of the river. Definitely somewhere you'd be more likely to call home. In this way, there are things which you both know and speak with your very being, but here go unsaid. Do you want a drink? Can I get you a drink? You turn, noticing Samuel for the first time since the conversation started. He's receded, slumped a little. He's smiling, but his body betrays he's feeling shut out. Feeling the sting of guilt, you try to welcome him back in. Do you guys want drinks? The woman's face splits open with genuine kind amusement, and as it does so, there's a hand on your elbow. You're being pulled away. You're needed. The dance floor has cleared a little, and there is silence filled with all that is yet to come. There's cake and candles, and an attempted harmony during Happy Birthday. You slide your camera from wide swings on your shoulder, training your lens on the birthday girl, Nina, as she makes a wish. The solitary candle on her cake like a tiny sunshine. When the crowd begins to disperse, you are tugged in every direction. As a solo cameraman, it is your duty to document. The music starts up once again. People stand in small bunches, pausing as you focus in on kind faces looming in the darkness. The older gentleman spinning records continues on at pace. Idris Muhammad's Could Heaven Ever Be Like This fits. Emerging from the crowd, you stand at the bar and crane your long neck in several directions. It is here when you seek the woman once more, on the night in question, a night you both negate as too brief an encounter. You realize she is gone. I really like a brief intermission here from me. I really like this, the writing in this book. It's very beautiful. It's very poetic. Just a comment. This takes place in England, UK. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, London. Southeast London. And it's a story about, it's a black love story. Let me just read what it says here. Two young people meet at a pub in southeast London. Both are black, British. Both won scholarships to private schools where they struggled to belong. Both are new artists. He's a photographer, she's a dancer. Trying to make their mark in a city that by turns celebrates and rejects them. Tenderly, they fall in love. But two people who seem destined to be together can still be torn apart by fear and violence. At once an achingly beautiful love story and a potent insight into race and masculinity. Open Water asks what it means to be a person in a world that sees you only as a black body. To be vulnerable when you are only respected for strength. To find safety and love, only to lose it. With gorgeous, soulful intensity. Caleb Azuma Nelson has written the most essential British debut of recent years. Just to give you a bit of more of an insight as to what we're reading here. So, let's go on to the next chapter. Chapter 2. Okay. These are winter months. A warm winter. The night you met her, you misjudged the distance from the station to the pub. And having walked half an hour wearing only the shirt on your back, arrived self-conscious of the sweat on your forehead, but a winter nonetheless. It is the wrong season to have a crush. Meeting someone on a summer's evening is like giving a dead flame new life. You're more likely to wander outside with this person for reprieve from whatever sweatbox you're being housed in. You may find yourself accepting the offer of a cigarette, your eyes narrowing as the nicotine tickles your brain, and you exhale into the stiff heat of a London night. You might look towards the sky and realize the blue doesn't quite deepen during these months. In winter, you are content to scoop your ashes away and head home. You mention the woman to your younger brother, who had been at the party too, building him an image from what you remember of the evening, like weaving together metallic samples to make a new song. But wait, I didn't see her. She was tall, kinda tall. Okay, wearing all black, braids on the beret, real cool. Yeah, I'm getting nothing. The bar looks like this. You form an L shape with your arms. I'm standing here. You say, indicating the crook of the L. Hold on. Yes, you say, exasperated. Will it help or hinder if I tell you I was steaming that evening? I remember nothing. Full stop? You're useless. No, I'm just drunk. A lot. So what happens next? What do you mean? You're both sitting in your living room nursing cups of tea. The needle on the record player scratches softly at the plastic at the end of the vinyl. The rhythmic bump, bump, bump. A meditative pulse. You meet the love of your life. I didn't say that. I was at this party and I felt this presence, and when I looked over, there was this woman, who just took my breath away. Go away, you say, flopping back onto the sofa. What if you never see her again? Then I'll take a vow of celibacy and live in the mountains for the rest of my life. And the next. Dramatic. What do you do? He shrugs and stands to flip the record. A firm scratch, like nail against skin. There's something else, you say. What? You gaze at the ceiling. She's seeing Samuel. He introduced us. Huh? I only found out after we'd spoken. I don't think they've been together long. Is that a definite thing? I mean, I think so, yeah. I saw them kissing in the corner of the bar. Fred laughs and raises his hand. Yeah. I'm not judging your man. Nothing is straightforward. But yeah, you might wanna. He mimics scissoring with his fingers. How does one shake off desire? To give it a voice is to sow a seed, knowing that somehow, some way, it will grow. It is to admit and submit to something which is on the outer limits of your understanding. But even if the seed grows, even if the body lives, breathes, flourishes, there is no guarantee of reciprocation, or that you'll ever see them again. Hence the campaign for summer crushes. Even if you leave each other on an unending night, even if you find your paths splitting ways, even if you find yourself falling asleep alone with but the memory of intimacy, it will be a shaft of summers creeping through the gaps in your curtains. It will be a tomorrow in which the day will be long and the night equally so. It will be another sweatbox or a barbecue with little food and more to drink. It will be another stranger grinning at you in the darkness and looking at you across the garden, touching your arm as you both laugh too hard at a drunken joke. Breathlessly falling through the door, gripping onto folds of flesh, or silently trying to locate the toilet in a home which isn't your own. In the winter, more times you don't make it out the house. Besides, sometimes to resolve desire, it's better to let the thing bloom, to feel this thing, to let it catch you unaware, To hold on to the ache, what is better than believing you're heading towards love? That was chapter 2. Chapter 2. Let's read the last chapter here. Chapter 3. Oh, it's very short. Maybe we'll read another afterwards. So, chapter 3. You lost your grandma during the summer. You were sure you could lose no more. You knew before you knew. It wasn't thunder's distant rumbling like a hungry stomach. It wasn't the sky so grey you were worried the light would not shine through. It wasn't the strain in your mother's voice asking you not to leave home before she got there. You just knew. You returned to a memory of a different time, sitting behind the compound in Ghana where embers of heat so late in the day make you sweat. As your grandma sits on a rickety wooden stool, chopping ingredients for a meal to be prepared, you tell her that you met a stranger in a bar, and you knew before you knew. She will smile and laugh to herself, keeping her amusement contained, encouraging you to go on. You tell her how this woman was slight, but tall, carried herself well, not in a way as to intentionally intimidate or placate, but in a way that implied sureness. She had kindness on her features and didn't mind when you hugged her. What else? Your grandma would ask. You tell her that when you and the stranger introduced yourself, you both played down the things you did, the things you loved. Your grandma will pause at this detail. Why? She'll ask. You don't know. Perhaps it was because you had both lost that year. And though you kept telling yourself you couldn't lose anymore, it continued to happen. So, there's no solace in the shade. Your grandma will say, I know. I think both of us can negate that whole encounter. It was too brief. There was too much going on. It wasn't the right time. Your grandma will put down the knife and say, it's never the right time. You'll sigh and gaze towards the sky, which shows no sign of darkening, and say, I guess there was something in the room that night, which I didn't feel until I met her. Something which, looking back, I couldn't ignore. When you sow a seed, it will grow. Somehow, some way, it will grow. I agree. I met this woman and she wasn't a stranger. I knew we had met before. I knew we would meet again. How did you know? I just knew. In this place, a memory from a different time, you would like to believe your grandma will be satisfied with this, that she will give the same wry, contained smile and laugh to herself again. This will be the last chapter. Chapter 4. It's a bit longer, okay? We're at page 11 now. Chapter 4. You and the woman meet in a bar 2 days before 2017 comes to a close. You suggested the location, but you're late. Only by a minute or two, but late. You apologize. She doesn't seem to mind much. You embrace and the conversation flows freely as you climb a set of stairs, travel up an escalator. You're a little breathless, a little sweaty, but if she notices, she doesn't say anything. Not with her mouth, nor rolling eyes. When you settle down, it's on a green felt sofa made of 2 halves. You dance through topics like 2 old friends finding comfort in a language which is instantly familiar. You create a small world for yourself, and for you both only sitting on the sofa looking out at the world, which has a tendency to engulf even the most alive. Last time we met, you said you were a photographer, she says. No, someone told you I was a photographer, and I squirmed at the idea. You say, why? You did the same thing when dancing was brought up. You didn't answer my question. I don't know, you say. But yeah, I take photographs. On the other side of the window, Piccadilly bustles. A man swells his bagpipes, the sound drifting up towards you. Friday evening, and the city is bordering on frenzy, unsure of what to do with itself. I guess you start up. I guess it's like knowing that you are something and wanting to protect that. I know I'm a photographer, but if someone else says I'm that, it changes things. Because what they think of me isn't what I think about me. Sorry, I'm rambling. I get what you're saying. But why does what someone else thinks about you change what you think about you? It shouldn't. You're very good at not answering questions. Am I? I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to be. I'm playing with you, she says, and indeed the smile in your direction is light and teasing. You pause, frowning to yourself as you reach for the right expression. You can't live in a vacuum. And when you let people in and you make yourself vulnerable, they're able to have an effect on you, if that makes sense. It does. What about you? The dancing thing? Maybe later. We keep digressing. We do. What do you think about my idea? I want to document people, black people. Archiving is important, I think. But as I said, I don't know the first thing about photography, and it would be cool to have you involved. Could be cool to do together. You say, letting the silence stretch and hold. No, I don't think I want to do it. Huh? Less of a question, more of an involuntary noise. She sinks into the sofa, covering her whole self with her coat. And you watch it rise and fall like a duvet over a sleeping body. Hey, you say. A forehead appears, followed by a strong set of eyebrows and a pair of eyes. Wary and watchful. You watch her struggle with the discomfort. I'm joking. I'll do it. I want to do it. The struggle continues, and when her face changes, it is because of reluctant appreciation. Adjust the meaning her match. I hate you so much, so much. She takes the time. You've been sitting here for almost 2 hours. Should we have a drink to celebrate this new partnership? I need a drink. You're glad she asked. You move from the mezzanine to the ground floor of the bar. The night is trailing after you, unable to keep up. A pair of low-bowled glasses sits half full on the table in front of you. They aren't your first or second or third drink. You're a little dizzy, trying to grasp what is happening. Much of your joy is lost in the need to hold it intact. So you try to dull that voice which needs clarity. Take another sip. This is fine, you think. This feels right. She returns from the toilet, taking long strides towards you again. The reflection of Leicester Square's light dances on the glass. She reaches up, fingertips grazing the window, as if light is something that can be held. As she does so, her balance shifts, and her head moves a slow descent into your lap, coming to rest for a tender moment. And as she goes, giggling as she rises up to reach for the elegant glow. The night is also the first you see the lazy, sheer sheen which sits on her eyes when she's been drinking. Sweet conversation from sour lips. The salt on the rim of the glass perched on the thong. Later, you're in the Shake Shack next to Leicester Square. You stand in the queue, 2 sheets in the wind, swaying in a man-made breeze. You pay for the food. She bought the last round of drinks and huddled together on a pair of high chairs. She orders a burger with chopped chilies, cheese fries, which she can't finish and insists you do. She hates wasting food. During the first few bites, she untangles a pair of white headphones and offers an ear, slender fingers dancing across her phone screen, searching for music. And now, let's ask the general public. Was anyone in Shake Shack that night? Did anyone else see or hear two strangers performing the truths for one another? Did they feel the pockets of the beat? Did they ride Kendrick's jazz-infused masterpiece with the same energy he intended? On the way back to southeast London, a small joy, but a joy nonetheless. You ricochet through the dark underbelly of London, noisy, black, hot and hellish. You peel back layers like a hand splitting the soft flesh of a fruit. Beside you, she once more is working on a sailor's knot in her earphones. The hitch comes, undone with a silent twang, and she slides one bud in her ear, the other in yours. Two people closing a distance made shorter by the trailing wires holding them together. What's your favorite song? She asks, having to lean in to make herself heard over the underground. Above ground, you are comfortable with the theatrics of playing yourself. When she tells you she attends the concert in question, you walk away for a moment, returning to her, feigning playful anger, feeling real envy. You speak, quick and urgent, as you weave down the uneven cobbles through embankment. My best friend had a pair of tickets and agreed I could have the other, but the day before he'd been like, there's a girl. Ah. If it makes it any better, he is such a good performer. Cheers. You sound upset, she says, unable to control the smile from tugging on her lips. I am. And she listens carefully as she describes the significance of Isaiah Rashad's debut album, listing his influences and dissecting his musical taste with breathless excitement. He's like an outcast, by the way of G. Dilla, with a sprinkle of Jill, the soul of an Isley brother, and so much soul in his music, you can really feel it. No? What? Nothing. She's grinning as you follow her through the ticket barrier. You don't tell her that the album had soundtracked your previous summer. You don't tell her that you have repeated the song Brenda, an ode to the artist's grandma, so much so that you knew when the bass line would begin to slide under the strum of the guitar chords, when the trumpets would riff and reverb, when there was a break, a slight pause, where the music fell loose from its tightly wound rhythm. You don't tell her that it was there in the slight pauses that you were able to breathe, not even realizing you were holding air in, but you were. There would be a moment where you exhaled and a small, sad smile spread on your face as you struggled to contain your own loss. Below ground, you scroll through the track list and point instead towards Rope/Rose Gold. She nods appreciatively. Mine's Park. Such a big song. She wheels up your favorite first and locks her phone screen, turning up the volume as loud as it will go. You both know all the words, so much soul. A black couple watch on, amused as the pair of you play rapper for the short journey. Embankment to Victoria. A song's worth. You make it worth it, swaying with the twists and turns of the carriage, catching the swing of the rhythm, sitting in the pocket of the beat. A small joy, but a joy nonetheless. You feel you have never been strangers. You do not want to leave each other, because to leave is to have the thing die in its current form. And there is something in this that neither is willing to relinquish. The view from her balcony, London's glittering skyline. You feel comfortable here. You feel at home. Tea? She asks from the kitchen. You're not. Walking across the living room to touch the glass, as if light is something you can hold, as if this is a painting you could touch. She appears nervously beside you. How long have you lived here? I'm jealous. A couple years. It's alright, isn't it? She hands you a mug and signals to a couch. Sofa. You both sit on opposite ends, knees pushed towards your chest, careful not to breach the border of bisecting cushions. Except you both knew something has opened, like pressing a tea bag and gazing into the cup to find the leaves warming through boiling water. Your mom's hilarious, you say. She's not usually that friendly with strangers, he says, sliding her legs out to sit in the space beside you. She closes her eyes and lets an almighty yawn stretch through the silence. It's contagious, and she laughs as the baton is pressed in a race only sleep will win. Her phone buzzes. A sound slips from her that you cannot quite work out. Are you okay? I think Samuel's coming over. Ah, right. Reality. I should go. No, it's cool. You should finish your tea at least. I don't want to impose. The doorbell rings. As the door opens and shuts, after the fumbling of shoes being taken off, Samuel enters the living room. The night you all met in the basement of the Southeast London pub returns to you. That need to know the woman, the way you insisted towards her. It was Samuel who engineered this meeting tonight. His girlfriend asked if he knew any photographers, and you were who he thought of first. But you're gazing at Samuel now, and the shame is intense. Faint surprise on his face. Oh, hey, you say. I've heard you had quite the night. We did. It was real nice. I'm sure it was, Samuel says. He walks over to his girlfriend, giving her a quick peck. I'm gonna go make some tea. You turn to her. I'm gonna head. I'll see you out, she says. From the kitchen, Samuel watches you watching her. You were careful not to breach a border, except you all knew something had opened. The seed you pushed deep into the ground has blossomed in the wrong season. You think of how you will tell the story to those who ask. Because there will be questions. You wonder if it felt right will be sufficient. You wonder if the defense of nothing happened will be sufficient. It is the early hours of the morning. She dons an enormous green coat and walks you down the street. The night is as warm as her embrace, and as you pull away, she asks, will you text me? Of course. That, my friend, was 4 chapters of this wonderful book. I hope you liked it. I hope my voice wasn't too awful to listen to, and I hope you all support this artist and go buy this book. I love it. So go buy it. And I'm gonna say good night now. Good night and sleep very well. I love you. Bye.